standard drainage as well?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So, Laura, the central FM,
Yeah.
you're saying that that was the Greenwich. We were on.
So the central team are actually based at Avery Hill.
Okay.
So there's a central team, central surveyors, central technical services, and then each campus has its own little campus office to do
Okay.
the kind of
But the
maintenance.
central FM is almost like the head of it.
Yeah, and they do major projects and things like long-term surveying, condition surveys, that kind of thing, more long-term planning.
Is your department, are you employing new members to the team?
I would like to. I
But
think
you haven't?
I am pressing for it at the moment, yeah.
What would you estimate you'd need to double or?
No, I think that we've got more technical service, more M&E equipment.
So you want more maintenance guys on site?
I mean, I think it's been quite weird. There's been quite a lot of pressure talking about it as a standalone building, right? You need somebody over there full time. But I'm really not keen on that because I think we're a team. You don't want just one person knowing that building. We should.
Yeah.
It's quite difficult to, because you don't want somebody just going to be over there and
Sitting there all day.
exactly, and also then they're the only one that knows about the
Yeah.
building. You just.
Yeah.
I always have this theory about what if somebody gets hit by the number 12 bus. You know, we all need to know about how it works. Yeah, I'm quite keen to get some more stuff, and this is my opportunity to get it, I think.
Just going back, you're saying that at the moment all of your sort of little contracts and stuff are tendered separately. What has that been the case? Is there any particular reason for it?
Or just a middle change?
I think that they've had an issue in the past where they had a total FM contractor in, and they didn't perform that well. So I think it might have, advised people against total FM. And I think actually what they're trying to do is tender the contracts. I don't think this, sorry. What they are trying to do is tender the contracts across all three campuses. But of course what we've got is then there's a contract here in place for this campus, so you've got to finish all of those contracts and go through the whole ODU process of tendering. I think that's just been a time issue, to be honest.
Do you think there's anything that technical in the building that after your yearly period start landing that an ordinary engineer wouldn't be able to sort out?
I hope not. There are things that we have dealt with before, like we don't really have any chillers, to be honest. I mean, I've worked with Airedale chillers at the gallery, but I'm not a mechanical engineer, so. And sprinkler system, we're going to have to learn about managing that. But apart from that, I'm hoping that after that year, we'll be able to pick it up enough to manage the contractors. Says, hopefully.
Is there a sort of internal soft landings between the central team and the other teams?
Well, there is. I'll be honest with you, one of the issues we've got is actually we're still trying to manage the rest of the campus, and that's one thing that I can foresee being a problem, because you don't really address things until you suddenly have to, and that's the nature, human nature, isn't it? We're going through a lot of meetings, and we are trying to make sure that maybe if we get more staff in, somebody can go over 2 days a week and kind of run through things with them. But yeah, Adele and I are trying to work together to try and establish a program for them.
Have you got an office in the new building?
We've got like a tiny little room down in the basement.
You're still based where?
Yes. Yeah. There's one possibility is should we move from our office?
So you're not actually moving yourself then, no?
No, but we're talking about it. We're talking about moving to maybe Dreadnought, or so that we're at least we're closer. It just makes life a lot easier if something happens there.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not kidding you. There's been talk of buying a bike.
Well, what is the distance?
Oh, it's probably only half a mile, but it's for me it's quite different from where I've come from, where there's one building that can pop up and down the stairs. checking over there. And there's been a lot of talk actually about fire evacuation. Security are at the East Gate, you know, where the bus arrives. That's quite a long way from Stockwell Street.
Right.
I'm talking about, you know, reaction times and things like that. Oh, right.
You talked, which is really useful from the assignment perspective, because you've talked in quite vague terms, and sometimes when they've asked you a question, it's, I really don't know, we're hoping, fingers crossed. You've been with the university 4 months?
Yeah.
How much, and I'm not talking in terms of presenting to these guys, but in your real FM role, how much would you have preferred to be here from the outset to really be the client? In terms of, you referenced the briefing that you weren't part of, now you're second guessing, you're changing the culture. How much of a difference do you think that would have made? And obviously that's subjective.
Yeah, I suppose it's, I think ideally I would have been here 2 years ago, or when they were still specifying finishes, or how many kettles, or toilets. I do wonder though, if I'm being brutally honest, sometimes how much of those suggestions are actually taken up by the design team, because there's a lot of, maybe I'm being a bit cruel about architects, and I'm being a bit, but sometimes you can give that information, but they might not necessarily take it on board anyway.
But you, from the outset,
Yeah.
you would have been aware, you would have known that
Yeah.
PDOT system, you would have known the plant, not necessarily inside out, but you would have been much more familiar.
Yes, and actually I
Absolutely.
have been making an effort to go to site once a week, because now it's all starting to come together. It makes life a lot easier to understand what's going on in the building and what the layout's going to be and all that kind of thing. So yeah. Somebody else did like 2 years ago, so
Where did they go?
she went to the Commonwealth Wardrobes Commission.
Maybe different again?
Just going back to Osborne's then, have you got a contingency in case this does get delayed? What is your minimum?
We were just talking about this yesterday because there's things like student registration.
Yeah.
Where will that happen
Yeah.
if it doesn't happen in Dreadnought? Because it's
Because at the moment it's 15th, you've got what month?
so 21st of July, practical completion, 15th of September,
No, no.
building opening.
3 weeks.
No.
July,
September.
oh no, so 7 weeks.
Yeah, it's not long though, is it?
Is that long enough in your opinion?
I'm concerned.
Right.
And I mean, ultimately, the contingency is that we don't move. You know, you'll still be here next year, you won't be here, but next year, the library will still be in Dreadnought and they will do it at Christmas.
So when's that cut-off point? Because obviously people are going to have to have letters sent out to say,
Yeah.
have you give Osborne a deadline?
They're talking about June at the moment. The thing is, though, you can only have a conversation with the contractor. They're saying, this is our programme, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Ultimately,
Can't do it live.
sometimes it's not until, you know, you can stand in a building going, I don't think you're going to get this finished. Yeah, we're not, it's fine. And what can you say?
Yeah.
Say when they...
So University Credit to the client, so you guys actually manage Osborne then?
So, yes.
You're the principal contractor in such,
No, I was
No.
one of the contractor.
but you're the client.
But then you're the client's client, no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I am. Yeah.
It's central
Yeah.
FM is the
He's,
actual client.
yeah. Yeah, that's exactly. And then I have clients who do School of Architecture or whatever, the FM team, Central FM team, are managing some of the fit out, which is where this crossover comes in about Osborne's site and doing things like IT services and stuff like that. So, yeah.
But Osborne has
Osborne are the
to,
principal.
so they have to manage all the risk assessments and all that like that.
But it's not their contractors, is it? So, if it wouldn't be me, but if we're going to get somebody to go in and fit all toilet roll holders, not Osborne's contract.
They will bend over backwards.
I was going to say, would that not be part of the negotiation for
They-
the extension of time?
Yeah, I've done it. They'd bend over backwards, let whoever you want on site.
Do you think?
Yeah.
It's
Without doubt.
unusual.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
It's unusual, yeah.
If they're holding you in
But
delay,
they're all interested in the building.
Yeah.
They're not interested in anything else.
yeah, but then
Yeah.
what I'm saying, if they're holding her in delay, they will let whoever ready to want on that site.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But they won't be managing.
No, they won't manage it, no. But they won't come
who
fast.
does
If they
that?
cause a delay, then that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they won't kick up a fuss about health and safety and all that.
Come up with them signing
Yeah,
off
fine.
on
I used to work for this company that did fit out, and the contractor was always late, you know, it was for these retirement villages, retirement villages, and they would have like an opening day where these people came to view these apartments, and we would actually have to do all the fit out, all the furniture and stuff while the contractors were still there, and then like plumber would come in and bang a nail into one of the pipes, it was all sort of ruin furniture, and it was just an absolute nightmare.
Okay, right, we're actually the ones I feel sorry for are actually, you know, right at the end of the process is the cleaners who are being shouted at to get out of the door when they're like, oh, we've already just been let in. Kind of thing. Yeah. So,
and the whole thing of letting all the supplies go, like, yeah, furniture coming from overseas and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Where will we put it? If
Yeah, where does it go?
we have had that discussion actually in answer to the question. June is when we're going to look at
That's
it
it,
again
you're
and
gonna
say, right, yeah, fine, we're good to go, or no.
Is it put it off for a whole term or was there?
I think the talk is Christmas.
Yeah.
Which generally the university closes down for Christmas. I'm sure
Yeah.
nobody wants to do that, but
Ah.
and it'd be embarrassing, you know. There's been this big plan to
Yeah.
open on September the 15th, and so.
We would have known about it if you didn't give us a sign on it.
I don't know.
We probably would have known about it if you didn't give us a sign on it.
Really, the building is all. Oh, okay. In which case, you don't tell Adele that she's employed a whole marketing team. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, it is quite vague, but it's been quite a steep learning curve for me over the last 3 months, kind of knowing that there's a new academic building being opened, and there's quite a lot of different bits and pieces, like the landscape architecture and living rooms and stuff. That's yes, not something I've dealt with before. So, if you've got any ideas for maintaining that, let me know.
So is that new employees and a new team for that?
We're getting a new grounds maintenance team anyway, but there's the landscape architecture school should be the ones looking after that.
Yeah, did say that, yeah.
You've obviously suitably silenced them.
Yeah.
I think the reality is, in terms of the move, as you've referenced, I think I say if we don't move, it will be so embarrassing. Apart from the cost of keeping the new building empty for some 2 or 3 months, apart from the disruption to the students who are all trying to find accommodation in Greenwich right now, I think the reality is it will be finished, it will be incredibly tight, Adele will be stressed to high heaven, as will the contractors working for her. You come in. As will the contractors working for her. However, I think it will happen. I think the problems will be that the IT will be rushed, the layouts will be rushed, and when we start, and again, it may not be me, but when we start to teach and people start to use the building properly, not everything will be in place, not everybody will be trained, notwithstanding yourself, not knowing the FM side, but I think the end users who will be occupying the building won't be up to speed.
I think also it takes longer to finish a project when the people are in the building than it would just to get it done before they come in and hand it over. So.
But what you've been talking about, and some of these guys know this from real life, what you've been talking about is very, very real. Lots of the things you touched on, I'm not picking on the guys in the front row, but the full-time students, all of the things you've talked about in terms of procurement, who's going to do what, who's going to manage what, is exactly what they've been taught at the moment, and some of you guys have been taught in the past. So it is reality, and this is what happens for real, is it not?
Yeah, it's quite interesting changing from my previous employer who had these clear term contracts in place and then we go through a due process to somewhere that hasn't actually, they've moved on hugely since the building was handed over in 99 from the Royal Navy or MOD, but actually they're still on the kind of learning curve upwards in terms of establishing those contracts. So that's why it's been quite enlightening. Of course, I've come in and gone, well, you need term contracts here, you need this, you know. It's very easy to walk in and say that, isn't it? But it takes time to actually sit down and...
Yeah, especially if you've already got one in place that will probably finish at different times. Everyone will need to be looking at a new contract that will allow the others to be joined onto that.
Yeah,
So then amalgamating into one finishing time.
and of course, the reality of that is that you're continuing to manage those contracts. You know in your head, oh, it'd be really nice to have all that as one package, but oh, I'll do that later, or I'll phone them for a comment at the moment, so, yeah. Anyway, sorry, I'm just chatting now.
Yeah, so any more questions before we let?
You said the FMC and Osborne are going to be on site at the same time. So I was wondering, what would your suggestions be to best way to transfer information from one to another so that there's no
Are
confusion?
you going to tell me that in this? I'm
going
going to get this last thing through. I'm being deliberately late.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you ever so much. Laura obviously does it.